Hey guys, in this video I'm going to explain what source is in relation to Liz Cross, somebody that I came across, no pun intended, about a year ago. I've had my channel since 2019, it is almost 2026, but I've spent years studying metaphysics, consciousness, and the deeper architecture of reality, but nothing really prepared me for what I found when I began researching the work of psychic medium Liz Cross. Because Liz doesn't just talk about angels, souls, or reincarnation. She talks about Source itself, which is the intelligence behind the entire universe. And what she claims is nothing like the traditional version that we've heard. And that's one of the reasons it appealed so broadly to me. So here is the simplest, clearest explanation of Liz Cross's teachings on Source, arranged from the basics all the way down to the deepest layers. So I'm going to do this sequentially. What is Source? Well, according to Liz, Source is not God. It is not the ultimate consciousness. Okay, this is something that takes a while to understand. Source is, though, the ultimate consciousness behind our universe. It is the architect, the creator, and intelligence that evolves through our growth. But here's the twist. Source was chosen. So our source was chosen by the previous source. And I'll get into that. So it's kind of like a cosmic passing of the torch where each universe selects the next source based on certain spiritual qualities. So Source isn't random. It's actually very intentional. Now, what was the previous universe like? Liz says the previous universe wasn't wildly different from ours. In fact, it was almost like an earlier draft, a similar structure, similar spiritual curriculum, just a slightly different earlier iteration. It kind of reminds me of the Matrix movies where there were 5 predecessors before Neo, and each one was similar but a little bit different. So the previous universe wasn't a failure, it was a completed chapter. And once that universe is finished, the torch is passed, and then a new universe begins. Our universe. Okay, this is where we are. And so that's how it is. It's a cosmic unfolding. It's almost as if it's a cycle. We have a universe, it completes, and a new universe begins. A new source is chosen. Again, source doesn't mean God. Now, Liz says Source was chosen for one reason and one reason only, and that was humility. Yes. And we know the Buddhists talk about absolving the ego, and that Source probably had not much of an ego, and that's why it was chosen to be Source. Now, of course, Source is going to be very high level, so it reaches a very high level spiritually, and that's why it is Source. But also, when you reach a high level spiritually, usually your ego is very low. Now, the question is, some people ask, well, why did the previous universe end? And this is one of Liz's most surprising claims. The last universe didn't implode, collapse, or actually fall apart. It simply completed its purpose. It's like reaching the end of a very long, monumental book. You know, sometimes when you reach the end, you're a little sad, you want it to continue. But in this sense, once the book is completed, or in this case, the universe, it's sealed, it's locked up, and preserved in the cosmic chain. So its lessons could inform the next universe. And we could also think about it like the database that Tom Campbell talks about, where all information is never lost, but it's kept in this database that Source and God, or the premortal consciousness, whatever you think about, can always access. And so everything is carried forward. So this universe is really the successor, standing on the shoulders of the last one. So you could think of it like, here's the previous universe, and we are standing on the shoulders of that universe. I believe it was Isaac Newton said, I didn't find these great ideas myself. I stood on the shoulder of giants. So, did this universe copy the last one? Was it a copy, as we talked about? Yes, it's a copy. Liz says Earth was copied from the previous universe because it was already an ideal environment for spiritual growth. So Earth works. It just does. So it was replicated. And why is Earth the center of everything? Why is it we think for thousands of years we thought Earth was the center of the universe. And it may still be. Our latest science shows that we're kind of an outlier, but according to Liz, Earth is the energetic power source of all the higher realms. The emotional intensity generated here on Earth fuels the entire spiritual ecosystem above. So Earth is the foundation, it's the training ground, it's the engine of the universe, and this is why human life feels so heavy. Yes, when you're on that scale, it's heavy. Now, the question is, let me get a new piece of paper here. The question is, do souls reincarnate? Do we actually reincarnate, or when we die? I went to a graveyard last week, and in that graveyard, there were many graves of the dead, And I like to read about their names, when they died, when they were born, maybe a little bit about them, beloved, mother, teacher, whatever it is. And I think about these people, their entire lives just gone. Have they died and gone off somewhere only to return? That would be reincarnation. Or once they're dead and buried in the ground, is that it? Well, obviously, if you watch my channel, you know I believe in reincarnation. So souls incarnate back on Earth again. That's right, we come back to be new people. And by the way, this place right here, we would refer to this as heaven or the afterlife. It's not a reward, but it's a rest station. People often confuse it. They think this is their eternal place where they're going to experience ecstasy and joy every moment for eternity, but it's actually just a rest station. It's a place to recover and prepare for the next incarnation. So heaven, yes, it is peaceful. There's no bills to pay in heaven, but it is temporary. And a lot of people don't want to leave heaven. And that's why a lot of people, when they are on earth and they're going through hell, which is all relative, but when you have a tough life, and there are a lot of people having a tough life right now, all you want to do is go home. Now this happens especially when you get older. When you get older, when you get to be your 70s, 80s, 90s, and life has just dragged you down and you've gone through the ringer, all you could think about is just getting back home. So what happens, this is another question that Liz answers, what happens when souls ascend? Because let's say you have somebody here, okay, and they've been through thousands of lifetimes. And what's really cool about Liz is she'll take a personality, live or dead, and she'll access the database to find out about that person. And for example, she did this with Mike Tyson. He lived, 300, 400 lives, and talked about some of them. Now, of course, can't prove any of this, but after living hundreds or thousands of lives, this soul, whoever it is in this incarnation, eventually will ascend. And yes, so when a soul dies, maybe they return to heaven, but instead of coming back to earth and having to live another one of these miserable lives, and I'm not saying all lives are miserable, but come on, it is the earth plane. They go on to a different place, what Tom would call a different virtual reality or physical matter reality, basically a different world. Also, these souls can choose to become teachers, guides, and helpers, and they will support the souls still climbing up behind them. But ultimately, all souls, it doesn't matter if it's us here on the earth plane or it could be ascended souls, we're all trying to get back to Source. Okay? Does Source have a counterpart? This is a good question. And in this video, so Liz made two videos. She made two videos on Source. And I went through each one very extensively multiple times. And I took out about 40 principles from the videos. And what I'm doing is distilling that information here into giving you I don't know what this video is.